We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, yeah. They saw greatness rise up to its purity. With another people of different culture, a different heritage, biased and oppressive. Oh, I see. A nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power. In due time, nobody gonna praise us. Rather, you all gonna embrace her. With your flag, with your flag, with your flag, with your flag. Oh, yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, it's my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home.
I reminisce way back 1967. Death toll on the blood couldn't count them even. Mama screaming, child squealing, pops on the ground. 2.5 years, over 3 million's gone. Why? Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. They shut us down when we cried, the world said nothing. Sitting back in the crib, watching our suffering. Should I talk about the planes dropping shells like rain? Suka had the first taste of a hero's blood. Abagana Zobuni was stronger than flood, but a juke is too strong and fought them off on the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then it came again. 216 and the massacre, it started again. So bloody name, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause and we're trying to break him. It's our freedom, but the world was against us.
Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people of Zion is here.
It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. I see the rising sun from Africa. Oh, this is time of victory. Oh, yeah. I see future in Africa. Oh, yeah. People of Biafra. See light shining on the world. Oh, yeah.
What's that, marathon? We're not fighting each other. We know where we're going. We're going to get there. There is nothing anybody can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I need them to understand this. We've crossed the Rubicon, the point of no return. There is nothing anybody can do. If I'm alive, if I'm dead, if I'm wherever I may be, Biafra will come. If I'm dead, it's even better because it will come far more quicker. I can assure you. If Biafra is fighting for you, no one will touch your property. If you're fighting alone, you're bound to lose it. So Biafra is the best. We will become the 16th member country of ECOWAS. If Nigeria doesn't release those properties, then we'll take them to court and we'll get them back. Even twice the value. The Jews had investments all over the world. Most of the priceless artifacts and paintings belonged to many families in Germany. It was stolen by the Nazi Party. Do you know that? Eventually they got everything back with compensation on top of it. That's what we're going to do. If you touch our investments, we'll come back for you. And we'll know where we can get it from. So there is nothing for anyone to worry about. It's only if I'm not stopping you from being a Nigerian, if you are born on the streets of Lagos and you want to be a Lagosian and your name is Adama, oh, well and good. There's no problem.
Are you still fighting the struggle to have independence for Biafra?
We are fighting for independence, not fighting physically with guns and bullets. We are fighting in terms of our agitation, we are fighting in terms of our belief, we're fighting in terms of our consistency to ensure that we are free. Because we're not free. As a free people, we can afford to make life better for our people. Right now, we can't do that because of how Nigeria is structured and because of the very flawed foundations upon which Nigeria is.
Called for a referendum latest this year, November, you said, I think. If that doesn't happen, what's the way forward? Because the way it looks like the government will definitely not agree to that.
Then there'll be no elections in Biafra. No more elections here. They can put whoever they like in office. They can do whatever they like with their political positions. We will not engage in any political process.
You said it's a peaceful struggle, but there are some videos of you appearing in the past, especially abroad, particularly at one conference in the US, where you said you need weapons to defend yourself, you need guns and ammunition. How can we understand that in the context that you're saying it's a peaceful struggle?
I'm sure you've heard about the Fulani headsmen killing people all over the place. Have you heard about it? Exactly. So how do you intend to defend yourself against Fulani headsmen without guns and bullets? They're killing our people, raping our women, destroying crops and farms, and no one does anything about it. Is that how human beings are supposed to be?
So, and you have the right to arm yourself and defend yourself with arms in that context?
Self-defense is recognized even by all the known laws of the UN. Is that not correct? We have the right. If somebody were to back into this very interview now wielding a machete or an AK-47, are you suggesting we should let them get away with it?
You were detained for almost 2 years, from 2015 on, and actually there was no trial. No trial ever happened, despite several court rulings that said you were supposed to be released, you were not released. Do you think you were treated in a fair way by the government? Or rather also by the justice system?
No, not fairly, because Nigeria is not a civilized country. People behave like animals. They are not reasonable enough, they're not disciplined enough. They are not mentally developed enough to run a transparent civil society. For them, they have a feudal mindset where you have the ruling class and a multitude of poverty-stricken people who never utters any word in rebellion or to even ask questions about their plot. That is one thing we are determined to challenge.
And do you think you insult a lot of Nigerians with that?
I'm being very kind, to be honest. I could have used far more harsher words to describe them. I'm being very kind.
So generally, you don't think very positive of your countrymen, then obviously.
They are not, when you say positive, no, as individuals, perhaps there are a few good people amongst them. But as a collective, this is an absolute mess. And you can see for yourself. You can go through the roads and see how horrible they are. Did you see how unkept everywhere is? How filthy and dirty everywhere is? That is the product of a Nigerian system that is uniquely backwards, even by the very verbal standards of Black Africa. That's the fact, and people must face up to it.
Well, I traveled in the north quite extensively, and I went to very remote areas. Sometimes I would still find Igbo people living there, peaceful together with communities in the north. Don't you sometimes think that you might endanger their peaceful coexistence with the communities there, that they might get into trouble with that?
So if they're living so peacefully together, or cohabiting so peacefully, as you put it, How come you hear about all those uprisings in the north where southern Christians are being slaughtered and nothing gets done about it? Are you telling me that that is normal? People are in the north out of a dire need, necessity more or less, to try and survive. Because here, the entire production process has been emasculated by people and policies that are geared towards ensuring that our people exist in perpetual state of poverty. And that is unacceptable to us. What we're asking the world to recognize is that we want to live in peace, not in pieces. We want to live in peace, just to allow us to be. Allow Biafra to exist. We were existing before the British came. Just allow us to go back to what we were before. No African came to Europe to create countries. So for somebody to just come in here and say, you from today, your name is Nigeria, it's simply laughable.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this very evening program. I appreciate everyone that has connected wherever you are connecting from. Please like and share the program, share to family and friends, share to your neighbors. Tell someone to tell someone to tell someone that we are here doing what we know how to do best. And this evening, we are still going to continue to enlighten the Biafran people on the issues at hand. Most importantly, the planned premiere of a movie by BBC. That is the topic that everybody should be speaking about. Every one of us should be talking about that subject. The British has no moral right. The BBC have no moral right to present any premiere movie on Biafra. These were the same people that made sure that Biafra was silenced. These were the same people that planned evil against us. These were the same people that destroyed all the effort that our eternal leader, Dim Oduwejugu, made to see that there is peace. They sabotaged him and they made sure that Gowon did not accept that peace discussion. The same people are coming out today to come and lecture us. The same people are coming today to show us a movie. What do you think they will show? Look at our eternal leader, Dim Oduwejugu, here with Gowon drinking with Ankara of Ghana, President Ankara of Ghana, and making agreements. This is where agreement was reached in Aburi. Everybody was happy. They drank together. Documents were signed. They cheered for it, only to come back and go on, walk away from the agreement. Look at the idiot Gowon today. Still lying. At this point in time, he is still lying. Look at him eating together with Ojukwu. Sharing food with Ojukwu. Look at him. Eating with our eternal leader, Ojukwu. But the British told him not to agree. And he obeyed the propaganda of the British. He followed the lie of the British. He followed their lie. And today, even as of today, he is denying the obvious. Even at his point of death, he is still lying. What a shame. When we have numerous evidence of what transpired. He said that what Ojukwu was talking about was not what agreed. But our eternal Ojukwu have released the transcript. He has released the transcript and we have a copy of it. So nobody is going to lie about it or tell us something that we already know. But somehow they think they can manipulate us. They think they can push their propaganda and their blackmail. They think that their lie can fly. But we'll tell them that that lie will never fly. We will continue to expose their evil. That is why every Biafran must be at alert. Because of this very movie they are trying to release on the 1st of June. 1st of June, BBC is going to premiere a movie written by a Yoruba man, not even by a Biafran. How can you imagine the kind of history a Yoruba man is going to write about the Biafran war? What do you think a Yoruba man will write about Biafran war? You that is watching me, what do you think a Yoruba man will write as the history of Biafran war? They have already started creating a narrative, and you know this is what they are good at. The same people that are in the front line of tarnishing our image everywhere. They tarnish our image across the world and made sure that people see us as the troublemaker. And somehow, you think that they're going to write your story. Every Biafra must boycott that very premiere. If you're a Biafran and you go there, you are cursed. This is a manipulation. All the way from the Zoological Republic, they are manipulating, trying to change the narrative, and we cannot allow them to change the narrative. The transcript of everything that happened is still available. Look at a video from that Aburi Accord. That's what they're saying. Look at Ankara. Look at Gowon and Ojukwu. An agreement that was reached, signed and sealed. But what did Gowon do? Gowon came back and the British told him to walk away from the agreement. And he walked away. Only to come today and begin to lie. This is how they have painted us evil. They made us the aggressor. We that have been oppressed. They changed it and made us the oppressors, the aggressors. The BBC was in the front line of making sure that the narrative is changed. Even when pictures came from Biafra land of the starvation and blockades, the blockade of the British that caused starvation and death of our children, the BBC was telling people that there was famine in Biafra land. The BBC was broadcasting and telling the world that there is famine in Biafra when they know there's no famine. Biafra land has never, ever experienced famine. We have never, ever experienced famine, and we will never experience famine. Our land is blessed, rich. Our land is blessed, rich. We have never lacked rainfall. Even when there is no rain, our land is still fertile. So you can never see any famine in Biafra land. It is impossible. But this was the narrative that the BBC was preaching, to make sure that sympathy is not shown to Biafrans. They use their studio and their media to paint us as the troublemakers. They made the world not to pay attention to what was happening with their propaganda. Even when their own citizen was even contesting and telling them that this is evil, they refused. This is why the history of Biafra cannot be told by the same people that perpetrated that evil. The same people who wrote that script against us to come and now begin to present the documentary. It is unacceptable, and every Biafran must reject it. We must shout, speak, and talk, and reject it in totality. We must not have anything to do with that evil premiere they are doing. Because their plan is to change the narrative. The British has been in the front line of changing narrative from day one. That has been their job, changing narrative, making sure that lies are promoted and truth is not heard. It is sad, but that is the situation we have found ourselves, and we will continue to make sure that we do our best and reject this evil. It will not stand. The evil will never stand. It is unfortunate that in these present days, people who call themselves intellectuals and leaders have lost their senses. Today they are acting like morons. Today they are the one promoting the genocide against their own people. Meanwhile, in those days, these were people who were in the front line. Many of them returned their title. Many of them rejected offer from the federal government because of the atrocity they are committing in Biafra land. Many Biafrans returned the title that was given to them. Many returned their medals. Many returned their certificates. But today, the set of leaders we have today are even pursuing title and certificate in the midst of their people. They are even selling their people by themselves. They sell their people out to acquire position, to acquire wealth, to acquire title, to acquire certificate. That is what we see today. Those who claim to be educated today, see, they are protecting their own image, protecting their personality, and they don't want to speak about the issue of Biafra. Meanwhile, in those days, Biafran people who were in strong positions gave it up to make a strong statement. Unfortunately, today we have lost morality. We don't have leaders anymore. We do not have concerned leaders anymore. All we see are a group of imposters who are claiming what they are not. Anyone that comes out will come and claim what he or she is not. And people will be paying attention and be listening. Enough of that nonsense. We can no longer accept or tolerate that idiocy. And today I'm going to show you an example of what it is like and what some other people have been doing. A lot has been happening, a lot has been going on. Nigeria is in a mess, a chaotic country, a country that will never be redeemed. It doesn't matter what you say, how you say it, it doesn't matter the language you use. Nigeria is doomed. And we can never be part of it. We will keep our memory alive. The memory of our freedom, the memory of the struggle will continue to be alive. We will never back down, no matter what they do. No matter what they say and how they say it, we will never back down. We will continue to fight for our freedom until we are free. No amount of propaganda or blackmail will make us to stop doing what we are supposed to do. I want us to understand that the only option we have as Biafrans is a breakup. And we are asking for a referendum. We've been asking for years and they don't want. If they don't want, then we have to enforce it. Already we have conducted our own self-referendum. It's either they endorse it or they conduct theirs. If they refuse, they leave us with no option than to take it by force. After all, the kingdom of God suffered violence, and only the violent ones take it by force. So what are you saying? Wherever you are as a Biafran, don't fall asleep. Nigeria is gone and gone for good. If you're one of those waiting for a better Nigeria, sorry to disappoint you. It will not happen. Because the government itself are the ones sponsoring the terrorism. Government is the one engineering, sponsoring the terrorism, and they are ready and willing to sponsor it to any length. They don't care. They don't care about you, neither do they care about you. You can continue to pray, you can continue to talk. It's not going to solve the problem until you take action. And what is that action? Revolution. Whichever region you are, conduct your own revolution. We are already on our part. The Biafrans are already on there. A revolution to change it, and the world is listening. And we're not going to stop. When you see this agenda they present now, the lies they are telling now about Biafran war, you will know that there is pressure somewhere. There is a reason why you are seeing all this attack against the Biafran war story. There is a reason why they are changing the narrative on the Biafran war. Something is coming. There is something that is hitting them, that is making them to go into Biafran war issue now and begin to change narrative. In a month, when we are remembering our heroes, that same month, go on release a book. Then on 1st of June, just immediately after our Remembrance Day, they will premiere Biafran Civil War movie, written by a Yoruba man. And of course, you know what's coming? To be premiered by BBC, the same BBC that has been on our neck, pressing our neck, distorting history, changing narrative, and creating a perspective against us. We will never forget and we will never surrender. Their disgrace has come. Nigeria has ended. And for those who do not know that Nigeria have ended, we will continue to give them an evidence. We will continue to show them evidence to make them understand that the zoological republic has actually ended. Whether you agree or you don't agree, the earlier you understand that, the better. The zoo has ended, and there's nothing anybody can do. We will continue to give you programs to make you understand that it has ended, and there is nothing anybody can do about that. And we will not allow you to change the story. No narrative that you will create will change what is objective.
It's going to change this country but us. I have confronted the government and the leaders of this country. As much as we have issues, I have more issues with the Nigerian people. It is only you, the Nigerian people, that will decide the day you will stop suffering. It is only you, the Nigerian people, that will decide to bring an end to the oppressions that you're going through. You cannot afford to be seeing the blood of your brothers and sisters be split. Little children that know nothing, 3 years old and 2 years old, being burnt alive. And yet you sit down in the comfort of your house, drinking your tea as if nothing has happened. I challenge our religious institutions that these politicians, and most of them that are third-class brains, they cannot continue to manipulate you that are first-class brains. When we keep silent and behave as if nothing is going on, the wicked and evil will continue to thrive. We are a people that have a future. If we don't take our destiny, forget about the appointment you're given, forget about being made an SA, forget about being made a minister, forget about being made a commissioner. It doesn't matter whatever you are made. Whatever you get will come to an end. Warriors come to an end. But the sad thing, Nigeria continues to live. And if Nigeria continues to live, Buhari has gone, but he left you with the pain and the suffering. He must have reconciled himself with his maker. And his maker will forgive him. But what about you? So Nigeria, we cannot allow them, look at the way they are tossing you left and right. Instead of thinking about your welfare, they're thinking about 2027 election. The roads are not fixed. Great Plains in Anambra. Few days ago, a young man that is growing up, fish magnet, was kidnapped, ransom demanded, paid, and was killed. And you have a governor that is running to contest for an election. Well, to the church leaders that will keep silent and be given an award to wicked men and women that have no conscience for the nation they govern. Well, to the Islamic community, that all you're doing is planting doctrinal conflicts and bringing about violence among yourselves instead of talking about the welfare of your own people. We're gathering them and giving them awards of nonsense. I challenge the average Nigerian that it is time we drop whatever tribe, whatever religion, whatever you think about, and let's pull our energy together to make a difference. We can decide will not go into power, and we must get the right men and women. 2027 is not for politicians to manipulate our head. We will get the right men. I talk to you, Mr. President. You have the opportunity to fix and make amends to your mistakes and your errors in the next 1 year, or else we will get on the streets. We cannot be bought. We cannot be bought. I feel the tears of the recent young men that we killed in the villages. You are saddled with the responsibility. This is what you applied for. 1 year is more than enough for you to give Nigerians hope that there is a starting point and we have gotten it right. Look at the way Nigerians have been mocked in Ghana. Now Ghanaians are saying Nigerians must go. South Africans are saying Nigerians must go. Togo are saying Nigerians must go. You Nigerians, wake up and fix your country. I want to say this. Voices may be silent, but this voice will never be silent. If that is all I'm going to do, just as I take this heart and put it down, I'm ready to put down my life, that a nation will arise. We will fight this fight. And any governor that is not doing your job, just know you're on the exit point. You can transfer and defect to any party. We will mobilize the people at the grassroots to determine their fate. If it is blood for blood, we will lay down our life until Nigeria rises up and Nigerians can sing the song of praise. With tears and pains in my heart, I speak to every conscience living legion, all our elderly men and statesmen. You're closer to your exit. President Obasanjo, President Jonathan, President Babangida, President Abdulsalam Abubakar, and all of you, you must have made a mistake in the past, but it is time for you to give and create a future for the descendants to come. Woe unto you to go to your grave without fixing Nigeria. God will judge you. God will judge you, Dangote and others who will not join forces with the masses to subsidize what you produce in their country. A time and a season will come that Nigeria will be too hot for the wicked to survive.
You have heard it. Beautiful speech is easy to make. You can make all the wonderful speeches. People will clap for you and shout. But at the end of the day, who is ready to put his life on the line for Nigeria? That is the question. Until you understand that there is nothing that will be salvaged in Nigeria, until you understand that, you are not serious. Until you begin to understand that the only solution is disintegration, you are joking. Every year you will come with this beautiful speech. Every year you will come with these beautiful words, and people will clap and clap and clap for you. And after clapping, the problem remains the same. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. Instead of having a change, it becomes worse. When are you going to learn your lesson? Just when are you going to learn your lesson? This Pastor El Buba has been giving eloquent speeches every time you come and you speak and you talk, and people will be emotional, clap for you and shout. But at the end of the day, do you really think there is anybody that is ready to sacrifice his life for Nigeria, including you yourself that is talking? Is there anybody that is ready to put his life on the line for Nigeria, including you, pastor that is speaking? You are not ready. You can't put your life on the line for Nigeria because nobody is a Nigerian. That is why it is important that you return to base. Return the Nigeria to what it is before. Let every region go back to whom they are. Only disintegration will save the zoological republic. As long as you continue to deceive yourself under this name called Nigeria, the Fulanis will continue to terrorize you. The Islamization agenda will continue. It will never stop. The Fulanization agenda will continue as long as you operate under the name Nigeria. Because, come off it, Nigeria was sold, given to the Fulanis by the British. They didn't hide it. We're not done in secret. It is the open. And now I don't know why people are trying to ignore that fact. So, to some extent, when you see the Fulanis fighting to take over Nigeria, they are actually fighting for what they believe is theirs. So, the only way for you to prove to them that Nigeria does not belong to them is to make sure you dismantle that very entity. Remove yourself from it. Immediately you remove yourself from it. Detach yourself from it. Then, the people who want to build Nigeria will take up the space that belongs to them as Nigeria and do whatever they want to do with it. That is why the first step to take is to detach yourself from that name, Nigeria. Until you do that, you are wasting your time. Until you detach yourself from that name, every effort you're making is in vain. The Fulani will continue to terrorize you. They will continue to claim what is theirs because it was rightfully given to them. And the British will continue to sponsor them, continue to empower them, continue to support them. And there is no government that comes up that will be able to fight them. You can continue to pretend. It is up to you. For you to know what is going on. Maybe you don't know. We are here to continue to educate you and show you some things that you ignore. I want you to listen to this confession to one of the terrorists that was arrested. Listen to what he had to say. Listen to what he had to say. Maybe you begin to understand.
My name is Ilyas Mohammed.
Okay.
From Bauchi State.
Okay.
So I come this out to work in order to find what thing I will eat me and my family because we get in a somehow condition. So where I come, I did drive before I did drive another racing bike. Now old bike, the man in the store to is too much. So I come meet with another one with the man. They give me his own bike. So when I come to drive the bike, 1 day, 2 days, I did drive the bike, the balance. So the woman, when they married that vigilante man, she don't like that man to give me the bike. Because me, I carry my wife. I know they allow my wife to go outside. I they provide food for her. Because I know that bike I use. So the woman, in going to stop that husband, the husband come collect the bike. So when she collect the bike, I know what I go do. When my mother died, I go no. The man never tell me say he go collect the bike. If he tell me say he go collect the bike, I will use my remaining money, carry my wife go village, and I go come back. You understand? So when I go house, I dey do my burial for my mother. So the man never call me say she go collect the bike. So when I come back, I can't take. I know the off. Now one day, when I only one day, I do work. Since that day, I never work again. Waiting I go eat, I don't get. I come ask the man, please, Ogasa, inside that waiting I pay for the rent. Please, I beg, help me, give me that 16,000. So I will use that transport money, go back to my village because I don't have what I will do for him. The man should never understand me. I complain to him, I complain to him. So my son gone on sick. I don't have what I will take the responsibility of him. So now it make me go into this matter.
Which matter?
This matter where I go hit this place.
You where you kill her, you want carry what you want collect from her?
Because where I collect the bike, because I don't have what I will use to survive from me and my family. And that vigilante man, she didn't collect his bike. I can't ask her. Either she will help me the money where I will use transport to go back to my village.
Okay. As you come collect the bike, now you want to use her work?
I want to use her work.
Okay, that's why you kill her, babe.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now the matter, I only the matter.
This is how terrible Nigeria has become. Human life means nothing. He unalive somebody in order to take his bike. Look at the excuses he's given why he unalived a human being. Look at the excuses given that the person who gave you back took back from you. That was why you went and unalived somebody. And this man is a northerner. You see many of them pretending to be bike riders. They are all members of Boko Haram. Human life means nothing to these people. That is why I don't know how anybody will think that we will be together with these people and be at peace. I don't know how people imagine that we can have peace with these people. There is no peace. You can never have peace with them. Where is the peace going to come from? People that their value system does not care about human life. They don't care about human being means nothing to them. To them, human being means nothing. Human life means nothing to them. These are the people that the British took us and handed us over to them. These are the people that the British took and gave us to them. And today they are fighting so hard to write history. Today the British is trying in every way they can to change history. Even when we have living legends, people who were there, eyewitness account, and they think they will succeed. They will never succeed. For as long as we are still alive on this planet, in this generation, they can never change the narrative. All this they are planning, they are doing is a waste of time.
I had been born during a civil war, a very bloody civil war. I was undernourished in the first 3 years of my life, and I suffered war-related psychological trauma and growth stunting. Growing up in one of the most corrupt countries in the world, Nigeria, confused me even more and pushed me further down a very dark abyss.
The so-called rising sun of Biafra is set forever. It will be a great disservice for anyone to continue to use the word Biafra to refer to any part of the East Central state of Nigeria.
Between 1967 and 1970, Nigeria waged a war that killed over 2 million Igbo people, mostly children, starved, bombed, erased. History calls it a civil war. The Igbo call it a genocide. But out of that darkness, out of the rubble and the silence and the grief, a boy was born. His mother hid during airstrikes. His earliest memories were hunger and soldiers and the smell of ash and decaying human flesh. That boy grew up. He crossed oceans. He studied the human brain practically and made a name globally. And one day, he stood inside one of the oldest medical institutions in the world, the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, founded in 1784, and he received a doctorate degree. And before he accepted it, he told them where he came from. This is Dr. Bennett Ifakando Umalo, and what he said in this video will live with you forever.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me to Dublin, Ireland. And thank you for making me one of you today, one of your family. The President of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, Chancellor, National University of Ireland, Pro-President, Royal College of Physicians of Ireland, Vice President, Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, members of Council, Registrar, Chief Executive, Dean, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, heads of schools, academic colleagues, excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Class of 2017, congratulations. Congratulations. As I look at you today, I see myself graduating many years ago from medical school. I struggled with depression. I struggled with extremely low self-esteem. I felt so inadequate. I felt everyone was better than me. I felt I wouldn't succeed in life. I was completely lost in the dark world of self-doubt. I had been born during a civil war, a very bloody civil war. I was undernourished in the first 3 years of my life, and I suffered war-related psychological trauma and growth stunting. Growing up in one of the most corrupt countries in the world, Nigeria, confused me even more and pushed me further down a very dark abyss. At some point, I dropped out of medical school. The darkest and most difficult times of your life are the most promising opportunities and platforms for self-discovery, self-growth, and self-enlightenment. Class of 2017, there may not be many days of successes like today. As you step into the world, successes are not guaranteed. You may experience only a few successes, but guess what? Failure is guaranteed. Expect to encounter many failures in your life. But what will make you successful is not the number of successes you encounter, but the number of failures, shortcomings, constraints, weaknesses, and inadequacies.
This is a very wonderful speech made by this brother. This is one of the Kwashiorkor boys who is now a hero in the world. These are people who witnessed the Civil War and who went through the rubble, went through the Kwashiorkor, and finally today here are they making wave around the world. These individuals are alive, and yet the Nigerian and British are trying to change history. How do you think it will be possible? How do you think anybody can change history? Why people, eyewitness accounts are still alive and well? Many of them are in the United States, many of them are even in the UK. But yet they still have the courage to use their BBC, use their media to change narrative, fighting so hard. We have a task ahead of us, and every one of us must sit up. We must sit up and engage in this task and make sure we win it. No matter the propaganda they come with, no matter the blackmail they bring, no matter what they throw at us, we must remain resilient and consistent. We must continue to fight on, and we are going to win. Don't you ever, ever be disappointed, because we still have people who are there, who saw it all. Eyewitness account is still there. We have people across the world, Biafrans, who can make the difference. We have a lot of people here and there who can make things happen. So do not allow anybody to push you away from the reality. Don't allow anybody to push you away from the truth. We must keep this fire burning. As I'm doing my own part, do your own part. We must keep Biafra alive, no matter how hard it is, no matter the challenges and difficulties. In those days, before the Civil War, during the Civil War, and even after the Civil War, our elders who were there then made a great sacrifice. Many of them gave back the title that was given to them by the British. Many of them returned the medal that was given to them. People we call elites are a bunch of betrayers. What they do is to sell us. What they do is to collect money to sell us. Anything that can put money on their table, they take it and allow us to go to hell and die. They don't care. They do not care about you. They don't care about me. And why should we care about them? We know what our people did in the old. But today, the people we have as elites, more especially politicians, are all evil. None of them speaks on your behalf. None of them speaks for me. It is much more dangerous because they are chosen by the caliphate themselves. That is why today, involving yourself in election is the worst thing any Biafran can do to himself. Getting involved in Nigerian election is the worst thing you can do for yourself, because you know your vote doesn't count. They will only use you to legitimize their agents. They will only use you to legitimize their own agents, who is going to penalize you and crush your bones, just as they are using Hope Uzodinma today, from fourth position to first, just as they are using Seibo in Anambra State, just as they are using Pitamba. All these people are instruments in the hand of the enemy, and there's no way you can escape it. The only way to escape the atrocities is for us to reject Nigeria and everything that comes with it. We must reject the contraption called Nigeria, reject it and reject everything that comes with it. Without that, you are just playing to the gallery. Without that, you are just wasting your time. Without that, you are just trying to be smart, but you are not. So, my fellow Biafrans, we are going to look into the interview that was granted to Emeka Anyaoku. Emeka Anyaoku threw some light also in the issue of Biafra. So let us go to the interview that was granted to Emeka Anyaoku and round up the program with it. We are in the month of remembrance. So everything we are showing and we are doing, we have everything to do with the olden people. So let us hear the interview that was granted to Emeka.
An amazing example of international peace crafting. All right, you have used your life of service to craft peace across the world, bringing equity to nations and helping people across different divides to have a voice, particularly from Commonwealth to other advocacy projects you have embarked on. All right, and this began way back, much earlier, from your days at Merchant of Light School, and then onward to University College of Ibadan, and then before you joined the CDC, Commonwealth Development Corporation. Okay, I would love to reflect on your earlier days. Okay, the days of your beginning when you began developing yourself on this path.
Well, I think I should probably go back to my school days. I was in primary school in Abo.
Yes,
In the Delta.
that part, that part makes me proud.
I was living with my father's cousin, who was the headmaster of the Siemens Central School in Boji, Abo. And from there, of course, I went to Merchant Supply School. And from Merchant Supply School, after my Cambridge leaving certificate, I taught in the gap year at Emmanuel College, Owerri, before going into University College of Ibadan. And it was at University College of Ibadan that I developed keen interest in public affairs, because I was an activist in the Students' Union. And when the Students' Union decided to send delegations to the three prominent Nigerian political leaders, Nnamdi Kanu, Awolowo, and Sardauna of Sokoto, I was privileged to be in the team that went to see Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And so my activism in student days was what developed my interest in diplomacy.
In public service. Yes. Okay. Now, onward from student activism, you got into Commonwealth Development Corporation. Okay, and served at different levels, rising up to I think assistant director. You started as an assistant director.
Well,
Grew up the ladder.
yes.
Okay, so
Well, in the when I left University College of Ibadan, I was recruited by CDC, Commonwealth Development Corporation, was sent to London to a series of training courses, at the end of which I was posted to the headquarters of CDC in London. And then from there, I was posted back to Lagos in the regional office. The CDC had a regional office in Lagos, which supervised the CDC supported projects in Commonwealth, West Africa.
what year was this?
This was, I was recruited into CDC in 1959.
Oh, 1959.
1959.
After independent.
No, but just before independence. And I was sent to London by CDC in 1959. And indeed, I was in London on the day of Nigeria's independence. Yes. And then at the beginning of 61, I was posted
back to Lagos, the regional office of CDC. And there I was, and in February 1962, the chairman of CDC, Lord Howick, was on official visit to Nigeria. Indeed, on official visit to West Africa, when it started in the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. And in Lagos, he was accompanied to the meeting with the Prime Minister, Sir Boubacar Tafawa Balewa, yes, accompanied by the regional controller, Sir Peter Mainazag, and myself as the executive assistant. And in the discussion, the Prime Minister asked a number of questions about CDC-supported projects in West Africa. And Lord Howick said, Anyoko, you answer the Prime Minister's questions, and I did. And at the end of the meeting, as we were leaving, the Prime Minister called me back and said, young man, you know that we still depend on the British for a number of our consultants and senior civil servants. Indeed, the permanent secretary at the meeting with the Prime Minister was an Englishman, Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark. Permanent Secretary, yes, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance. He accompanied Chief Festus Okotiebo to the meeting because the Prime Minister had with him Chief Festus Okotiebo and his Permanent Secretary, who was an Englishman, Mr. Clark. And the Prime Minister said to me, well, you need to come, you're working for a British government institution. You need to come and work for your own national government. I see you as a good material for a diplomatic service. And I thanked him and left. And the next day, the orderly of the Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Alhaji Nuhu Gamale, came to my office with a civil service application form. Said it was, and there was a little note by the minister, Alhaji Nuhu Gamale, who said that this was being sent on the instruction from the Prime Minister's office. Anyway, that was how I entered into Nigeria's foreign affairs. And after 1 year in Lagos, during which I was a personal assistant to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Francis Mwokedi, I was posted to New York, to Nigeria's permanent delegation to the United Nations. And I was working under Ambassador Chief Simeon Adebo. And there I was. And in 1965, November, the first Commonwealth Secretary General, Arnold Smith of Canada, was on official visit to Nigeria and met with the Prime Minister. And at the meeting with the Prime Minister, he said to the Prime Minister that he was keen to build up in the Commonwealth Secretariat, which was newly established. The Commonwealth Secretariat was established by Commonwealth Heads of Government in July 1965. And Arnold Smith said that he wanted a middle-ranking Nigerian diplomatic officer who would, in his own words, help him make nonsense of the myth of racial superiority. Okay. That was what Arnold Smith said to the Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. And the result of that was that instruction came to me, to my ambassador in New York, that I was being posted to the newly established Commonwealth Secretariat. And that was how I got to the Commonwealth Secretariat.
Oh, okay. Okay, so when you joined the Commonwealth Secretariat, was that when you began as a director, or you were?
No. I began as assistant director of the International Affairs Division of the Commonwealth Secretariat. Okay. And this was in 1966, April. Oh. And then in 1971, the Secretary General appointed me the director of the
1971.
1971.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the year in between when 1966 and 1971. Must have been some conflicting period for you, serving on behalf of Nigeria in the Commonwealth and then having civil war raging at home. How did it share for you?
It was a big challenge because during that period, I had gone to the Secretariat on secondment from the Nigerian Foreign Service.
Yes.
So strictly speaking, I was a Nigerian Foreign Service officer.
Yes.
But during the crisis, the federal government, headed by General Gowan, required all Foreign Service officers of Igbo extraction to take oath of allegiance to the federal government. And I refused to take the oath of allegiance to the federal government. I refused because I said that at that time, the pogrom in northern Nigeria, the killing of Igbo people in northern Nigeria, and the exodus of Igbo people from Lagos and other parts of Nigeria back to the east. And I expected the federal government to condemn those killings, not only to condemn them, but to take action to stop the killings. It didn't do that. And I said to myself, there was no reason why, in good conscience, I could swear an oath of allegiance to the federal government. And then, of course, the federal government reacted by wanting the Secretary General to remove me from the Commonwealth Secretariat. Well, the Secretary General took the principled position that the team of diplomats in the Commonwealth Secretariat owed allegiance collectively to Commonwealth governments, not to individual governments, and cited the example of what had happened in the United Nations when in Czechoslovakia there had been a revolution in Czechoslovakia, and the new communist government of Czechoslovakia wanted the UN Secretary General to remove the Czechoslovakian officers in the UN Secretariat. And the Secretary General said no, that they were there serving collectively the United Nations members. And this was the position that the Commonwealth Secretary General took. So I remained in the Secretariat. But during the crisis, I was involved in the Secretary General's efforts to mediate peace in Nigeria.
Okay.
The Commonwealth Secretary General was the first outside force to bring the two sides together. The federal government and the Biafran government. They sent representatives to London. The federal government team was headed by Chief Anthony Nahoro, and the Biafran team was headed by Sir Louis Manifal, and an attempt to broker peace, get a ceasefire, and so on, and put a proposal to the two sides for that. And one of the Biafran delegates confided in me that there was no way Emeka Ojukwu would agree to that proposal. And I decided I had to go and talk to him. To Ojukwu. And when I told my Secretary General that I wanted to go to Biafra to see Ojukwu and talk to him about that, the Secretary General said, no, that's very dangerous treat by the time. And that, but I insisted, and he said, well, if you want to go and insist on going, I'm not sending you, go on your own. I said, yes, I would take the risk. So I took the risk, took a massive flight from Amsterdam through Lisbon, to Sao Tome,
and landed at Uli Airport on a plane carrying humanitarian material things to Biafra. And I met with Ojukwu, talked to him. Ojukwu predictably said he would not agree, but in the end he said to me, well, I don't agree with this, but if you feel strongly that you can tell the Secretary General that he can go ahead with it, but I tell him also that I have not agreed. But at the same time, Chief Enaro also, by the time I got back to London, Chief Enaro had told the Secretary General that the federal government would not agree to the terms proposal. So the two sides did not agree, although Ojukwu was a little flexible in saying that if I strongly recommended it, he would live with it. But anyway, that was the end of the mediation exercise. And then in 1977, I was elected Deputy Secretary General by Commonwealth governments, and I remained in that post until 1983, when President Shagari invited me home to serve as Foreign Minister. You served as Foreign Minister? I was Nigeria's Foreign Minister from October 1983 to New Year's Eve of 1984, when Buhari and Idiabo coup terminated President Shagari's administration. And when that was done, I was very lucky on two fronts. On the first front, the nomination period for candidates to fill the post that I had vacated as Deputy Secretary General was open till 16th of February. Okay. The procedure for nominating candidates was that the head of state of the candidate's country must write a letter to the Secretary General nominating the candidate. And after the coup, on the eve of 1984 New Year, I was lucky that the then IGP, Inspector General of Police, whom I had had on a Commonwealth police mission to one of the Caribbean countries, he said to me that he would take me to the head of state and Idiabo. And I said yes. So he took me to Buhari. And Buhari and Idiabo said to me, we know that you've had nothing to do with corruption. What you do now, we cannot retain you as foreign minister. And I said, thank you very much. I would not have accepted to be a foreign minister, because it would oblige me when I go to talk to other governments to explain how I changed from serving a civilian government to a military government. And that since they acknowledged that I had nothing to do with corruption, that the head of state, Buhari, would have to write a letter nominating me as a candidate for the post I had vacated. And Buhari said, yes, I would gladly do so. And he not only wrote that letter, he sent the secretary to the government, Mr. Lehman Chilma, to carry the letter to London. And by the time the letter got to London, 3 governments had nominated their candidates two foreign ministers and one secretary cabinet as for the post. When the Secretary General circulated my name to governments, those three governments withdrew their nomination. So I was unanimously re-elected to the post I had vacated. So that was how
He came back.
I came back as Deputy Secretary General. And then that was the post I occupied until 1989, when the Malaysia elected me as the third Commonwealth Secretary General. In a competition, I competed for the job with Mr. Malcolm Fraser, who had been Prime Minister of Australia for 7.5 years. He was the other competitor, but I was lucky the heads of government chose me.
Congratulations. And I'm so proud. I'm so proud. That makes me so proud. And that began a different chapter of your life altogether. I see you have quite a lot of work. I don't know, if to describe it, if you're very pro-African in a lot of your service. I see the work you do in Zambia, you did in Zambia, Kenya, Malawi, the things you did in South Africa, okay? And you did quite a lot of your work in Africa. And thank you. So thank you and all that. All right. But let's look at the milestones, okay, the work that went into a lot of your accomplishment during your time as Secretary General.
Well, when the heads of government elected me, in my acceptance speech to them, I told them that I would see my mission as being principally, first, to make the Commonwealth a potent force for promoting democracy. Second, to give the Commonwealth capacity for intervening in the affairs of member countries to promote peace and reconciliation. And thirdly, to make the Commonwealth an instrument of practical cooperation among members for the development, particularly of developing members of the Commonwealth. And this is what I pursued during my 10 years as Secretary General. In the area of promoting democracy, I was the first Secretary General to institute the Commonwealth Observation
Yes.
for elections.
Election monitoring.
Election monitoring. The first one was in Malaysia in 1990, and then thereafter, by the time I left office, I had organized about 51 observer missions in different countries. And in terms of intervening in Commonwealth member countries for promotion of peace and reconciliation, I had, not only in Africa, I was involved in promoting peace in Papua New Guinea, where Papua New Guinea was threatened by the mini coup. And I had to go there to reconcile the civilian prime minister with the army. And again in Pakistan, when in Pakistan there was a major crisis between the president, Negari, and the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, I had to go to Pakistan to do that. And then, of course, back home here in Nigeria, I had discussions with General Abacha. I met with Abacha in May of May of 1994, and again in July 1995. And in all my discussions, I sought to persuade him to acknowledge and respect the verdict of the Nigerian electorate. Indeed, in July 1995, when I met with him, I asked him to let me see Chief MKO Abiola.
Oh, who was incarcerated?
Well,
was he
actually, I must correct myself. In 1994,
okay,
when I met him in May, I asked him to let me see Abiola. Abiola was in detention then.
Okay.
And his first reaction was, "No, Excellency, I cannot let you see somebody who's been accused of treason and so on." And I said to him, "Well, Excellency, I must make the point. You must be aware that the Nigerian and international media have been reporting that Abiola is being tortured in prison, and he's not well in prison because of the torturing. When I leave you, the press are bound to ask me about Abiola, and I will feel obliged to tell them that I asked you to let me see Abiola and you refused. And of course, you know that will confirm all the reports and so on that they have of Abiola." And Abacha kept quiet for a few seconds and said, "Well, Excellency, you will see him." So I ended up seeing Abiola. I was the first person to see Abiola in detention. And when I saw him, I put to him a proposal that I had for resolving the Nigerian crisis. And in fairness to him, he accepted the proposal. When I asked him to give me 10 names of Nigerians from whom I would choose 5 to go with me, and I was going to ask Abacha also to give me 5 names, and the 5 from each side and myself, I would lock ourselves up in a room until we found a solution to Nigerian crisis. Abiola gave me 10 names, and the 10 names he gave me were representative of all parts of this country. And then I put the proposal to Abacha, and Abacha turned it down. Abacha turned it down, and that was my last meeting face-to-face with Abacha. The next time I had a long conversation with him was the day he detained General Obasanjo, took him to prison. I called him and I said to him, "Well, Excellency, this is ill-advised because of Obasanjo's standing internationally. It would bring a very bad name to Nigeria. Obasanjo was highly respected internationally as the first military head of state to willingly hand over government to a civilian government. Secondly, he was respected as a genuine Democrat by that very act. And I thought it would be unwise. I said, if the evidence you have against him is that strong, put him under house arrest, surround his house with your security, but to take him to prison was very ill-advised." Now, Abacha said, no, I could not persuade him. And then when he said to me, "Excellency, I love this country, I love our country, I'm prepared to die for our country," and so on, I jokingly said to him, "Excellency, I'm older than you are, so I have loved the country longer than you have. And he said, well, there's no point carrying on this conversation if I cannot persuade you. And this is how it ended. That was my last conversation with General Abacha.
All right. Thank you for, it's good to know that despite your impacts everywhere else, you have concern for your home country as well. I'd like you to recount to us your rule during the apartheid period and the fall of apartheid.
Yes, I think since you talked about my concern for my own country, I should mention that when Abdul Salam Abubakar succeeded Abacha, he called me and invited me to visit Nigeria. And I came and saw him. Indeed, when he invited me, I said to him that it would be a good idea for him to invite my friend Kofi Annan, who was United Nations Secretary General. Yes, that it would be good for both of us to come at the same time. He bought the idea immediately and sent an aircraft to Geneva, where Kofi was attending a meeting and brought him. I landed in Nigeria 3 hours before Kofi Annan, and we had a good meeting with him. And we also independently met with Abiola in prison because General Salami Abubakar confided in us that he was going to release.
He was going to release
Abiola, yes. And we were delighted at that because we were urging him to do so, but he had made up his mind to release Abiola. And so when I met with Abiola, the picture that the State House took of Abiola, myself, and Admiral Mike Ahibe, who was the number 2 to Abdulsalam Abubakar, turned out to be the last picture Abiola took alive. It's an iconic picture which I treasure. And then after that, when General Abdulsalam Abubakar was going to have election, the head of the Nigerian Electoral Commission, Justice Ifema Bata, came to my office in London. As a result of our discussions, I sent electoral experts who came to work with the Nigerian Electoral Commission. And after that, I sent a team of observers for the election that produced
Chief Olusegun Obasanjo.
Yes, I sent election. And so that's just for my country. And of course, since I retired from my post as Secretary General, I served for 14 years as chairing the Presidential Advisory Council on Foreign Affairs and so on. So that's my contribution to my country.
I'm still going to come to what you did post Commonwealth service. All right. There was Jordan in Nigeria. Nigeria hosted Commonwealth governments.
Yes.
Was that during your time?
No, that was 2003 during my successor.
During your successor,
I was succeeded by Don McKinnon, who had been Deputy Prime Minister of New Zealand. He was my successor. But coming to your question about my role in South Africa.
Yes.
In November 1991, I had obtained the agreement of Commonwealth heads of government at their meeting in Harare. The agreement for me to go to South Africa because F.W. de Klerk, the president of South Africa at the time, had released Nelson Mandela from prison. And had declared his intention to have a dialogue with all the opposition parties in South Africa, the anti-apartheid parties. So I got heads of government to agree that I should go to South Africa to explore how the Commonwealth would help the process of transition. So I went there and had extensive discussions with President F.W. de Klerk. I remember that the first time I told him that I was keen to see that the Commonwealth helped South Africa transit, he said to me, well, this Commonwealth has been very hostile to South Africa. And he said, well, we in South Africa, we have friends in Europe, we have friends in America, we have friends even in Africa. And he was, as far as Africa was concerned, referring to the friendship with Malawi, Dr. Van der, and Houphouët-Boigny in Ivory Coast. And they said, we don't need the Commonwealth. And I said to him, Mr. State President, your biggest challenge, as I see it, is how to build confidence with the major ethnic groups you have in South Africa. The Africans, the whites, and the Asians. Look at my delegation. My number 2 man here is an Indian, Assistant Secretary General Munima Abutra. My number 3 man was the chef de cabinet of my chef de cabinet, an Englishman, a British, Stuart Moore. My number 3 delegate was an Australian, Craft, and the number 4 was a Ghanaian, Dr. Moses Andafo. I said, we can help you establish contact and building of confidence between your major ethnic groups. Give F.W. de Klerk his due. He immediately accepted that point and said to me, Mr. Secretary General, the press are waiting outside. Can you join me in a press conference? I said, yes. So, and that was the beginning of the Commonwealth intervention. When he called the first major conference at Kenton Park on December 1, 1991, I sent 6 states, men and women from the Commonwealth to be there to help their presence with her. And then after that, the conference continued to discuss. And at some point, ANC stalwarts were massacred at a place called Boy Batong by apartheid police officers. And the ANC, the PAC, ANC led by Nelson Mandela, PAC led by Clarence Makwethu, and IFP led by Gasha Buthelezi, and the Afrikaner Party was led by General Constant Gideon. Well, the 2 major African parties, ANC and PAC, threatened to withdraw from the Congos. I had to fly to South Africa, and I met with all these leaders, and I prepared a memorandum for them to sign what I called an accord for how to deal with violence and so on. And they all signed. And the conference was restored, and the conference carried on. And when in the course of the conference, the South African police had been used to stop in dealing with protesters against apartheid. They had no philosophy of community policing. I sent 26 Commonwealth policemen and women, including a Nigerian commissioner of police and policemen and women drawn from 26 different Commonwealth countries, who went to South Africa and were there at their police college and so on to help them learn the philosophy of community policing. Yes. Oh, the culture, yes. And then, of course, when the agreement was reached between the apartheid government and all these parties, the agreement was signed at 3:30 a.m. on November 17, 1993. I was there for the signing of the agreement. And indeed, I tell you one amusing and in a way embarrassing story, because the next morning after the agreement was signed, President W. de Klerk and I gave a joint press conference. And the president started by heaping praises on me for my contribution to South Africa and so on. And when he finished, the media people were to ask us questions. And the first question was put to me by a South African white correspondent who said to me, Mr. Secretary General, our president has spoken so much about your contribution to our country. What about your country, where we had that last night there was a coup, and I hadn't heard about that, and then my Nigerian special assistant gave me Reuters news report that said that Abacha had taken over government. So I looked the correspondent straight in the face and I said, well, you know that human capacity is to deal with one problem at a time. And I am currently involved in your problem. And of course, they all cheered. And W. de Klerk whispered to me, he said, you're a very seasoned diplomat. I would have not have to respond to that. And so that was when Nelson Mandela was installed as president, the first president of democratic South Africa. The major representatives of the world were all there. And I remember that the moment when Nelson Mandela was swearing the oath of office, many of the representatives there, including my wife, had tears on their eyes. It was a major day. It was a very moving occasion. And I must say, Abacha was there. And of course, out of Nelson Mandela and I developed a very close friendship during his...
On behalf of Africans, I want to say thank you. For me, South African story, Mandela's long walk to freedom, and a lot about the fall of apartheid. It holds a dear place in our hearts. All right, and I mean, to learn about the roles you played, it's very emotional for me right now. Thank you so much. I hope the Lord rewards you, or we find better ways to reward you. Thank you so much, sir. And then let me circle it to Malawi, Kenya, okay?
Yes.
And those places where they had single party states.
Yes.
You know, single party states as good as having near dictatorship or something.
Yes.
Let's see your words there.
In the course of my efforts to promote democracy in the Commonwealth, I started off with wanting to change those countries that had one-party state constitution become multi-party, govern the countries. And my first effort was Zambia. I had long conversations with President Kenneth Kaunda and persuaded him to adopt a multi-party state constitution. And then after Kaunda, I had long conversations with Dr. Kamuzu Banda of Malawi. He also agreed to change from one-party state to multi-party. And I had long conversations with President Arap Moi of Kenya. And indeed, in the case of Kenya, Arap Moi wanted me to send a constitutional expert who would help Kenya adapt its one-party state constitution to a multi-party state constitution. And I sent Professor Ben Mwabweze. Professor Ben Mwabweze, I sent him to Kenya. He was there for 2 months. At the end of which, President Arap Moi telephoned me to thank me for sending such a brilliant constitutional lawyer to them.
Ben Mwabweze in Nigeria?
Yes. And his Attorney General also called me to thank me. And I had similar conversations with the President of the Seychelles, Republic of Seychelles, Albert Rani. They also changed from one-party state to multi-party state. As all that was in the course of promoting democracy in the Commonwealth.
Thank you so much. The roles you played in deepening democracy, I'm particular about Africa. I know you did a great deal of jobs across other member states of the Commonwealth. That's, I'm particular about Africa in this show. All right, and I want to celebrate those words, the efforts that you made to deepen democracy, restore peace to member countries within Africa, and also really to promote credible elections. Okay, I want to thank you especially for that. And beyond Commonwealth, okay, you've also continued to make great efforts in back home in Nigeria. Okay. I know that there is a professorial seat in your name. I also know there's been a recent launch of university, all right, in your name. I also know that you've got some efforts going on to see that Nigeria actually has a genuine constitution, a people's constitution. At your age, you're making a whole lot of effort to see that a system is built in Nigeria that would ensure lasting peace and coexistence for us. If you don't mind talking more a bit about your work, more recent works.
Yes. Well, since my retirement from Commonwealth service, my relocation to Nigeria, I have been advocating what is commonly called restructuring of the governance system in Nigeria. And my reason for saying so, when I look around the world, first, Nigeria is a pluralistic country. So, as a country that its population, its component parts are different cultures, different languages, different religions. If you look around the world, all pluralistic countries that have succeeded in remaining united political entities, they have been countries, they are countries that have truly federalist constitution. Those pluralistic countries that did not have genuinely federal constitutions ended up disintegrating. I've given the examples of that. Yugoslavia is there. Yugoslavia broke up into 7 states. Czechoslovakia separated, albeit peacefully, into 2 states. And coming nearer home, Sudan, that existed for many years, separated into 2 countries. If you go to Asia, Indonesia separated from East Timor, and Bangladesh broke away from Pakistan. Bangladesh used to be East Pakistan. And so, in those countries, pluralistic countries that have succeeded, you think of India. India is a very pluralistic country, but India has remained one country because of its truly federal constitution. Look at Canada. Canada is a very pluralistic country between the English-speaking and the French-speaking, and the Inuits. Canada has survived and is thriving because of its truly federal constitution. So I have been advocating that Nigeria should have a genuinely federal constitution in order to survive as one united entity. And of course, I'm at my age, I've lived through the developments of Nigeria before independence and since independence. In the early years of Nigeria's independence, when we had began with 3 and ended up with 4 regions, Nigeria was evolving towards one nationhood. But Nigeria remains, unfortunately, a country. Nigeria has not become a nation. And why were we successfully evolving into a nation at the beginning of our independence? Because we had a genuinely federal constitution that allowed the regions, gave the regions fairly substantial autonomy. And since the military intervened in governance in January 1966, the constitution we have had has been a constitution that reflects the hierarchy command in the military, where the top commander's word is the law. Yes. So in Nigeria, we have a federal, so-called federal system that gives so much power to the center. And the idea of federating units in Nigeria having autonomy doesn't exist. So Nigeria's development has been retarded by that very fact. I believe that if Nigeria had a genuinely federal constitution with far fewer federating units than the 36 we have at the moment, the 36 federating units we have at the moment, many of them are not viable. But in the early days, northern region was viable. Premier Sadauna of Sokoto was developing northern region with revenue from groundnut pyramids, hides and skin, and tin from the plateau, and so on. In the western region, Obafemi Awolowo was developing western region with revenue from cocoa, and that was what enabled him to introduce the free primary education that he did, and to build the skyscraper and the television station. And in the east, Dr. Michael Opara was developing the eastern region. At one stage, the eastern region was one of the fastest growing units economically in the world, and that was from revenue from palm produce. He was developing industrial base and so on. And in the Midwest, Dennis Osadebe, Premier Dennis Osadebe, was developing the Midwest with revenue from rubber. And remember, such big tire manufacturing companies like Michelin and Dunlop came to Nigeria, and thriving factories in Nigeria because of the development of rubber from Midwest. And all that is now gone with non-viable federating units. And so I have been advocating, and unfortunately, I am now chairman of the group known as Patriots. I have succeeded. The first chairman of the Patriots was Chief Rotimi Williams. The second chairman was Professor Ben Magweze. And I have now succeeded Professor Ben Magweze. And we are in the Patriots advocating that Nigeria should have a genuine people's democratic constitution. Because I believe that that's the only way by which Nigeria will begin to realize its potentials. I mean, now you have Japa, young Nigerians being obliged to look for opportunities outside the country for developing their individual capacities. This didn't happen in the early years of our independence. In the early years of our independence, there were opportunities in this country for young people, and the urge to leave Nigeria did not exist except those who were going for education and so on. But now, most Nigerian young people do not see a future for themselves, and the state of the nation at the moment is far, far more parlous than it was in the early years of independence.
Thank you so much, sir, for your continued effort, and I pray that in distant time we would celebrate the success of it. You have had several years of efforts in building sustainable societies, advocating for peace, and advocating for better governance and equal equity for people who live within states. In all your works, okay, I want to say 100 years from now, what would you want Chifemeka and Yoko to be remembered as or for?
Well, let me say that now I feel very privileged to have had my efforts recognized different ways. You mentioned a professorial chair. I'm very proud of the fact that in London University there is a Mecca Nyong'o professor
In London.
London University.
Oh,
University of London has a Mecca Nyong'o professor of Commonwealth Studies at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies. And I'm the privilege to have no less than 33 honorary doctorate degrees.
Wow.
16 of them from top British universities, about 8 of them from Nigerian universities, from universities in South Africa, in Ghana, in Switzerland, in Canada, and Zimbabwe. I've been very privileged to have all that. And then you mentioned at UNIZIC, the President Bola Tinubu, last May went to commission the Emeka Nyong'o Institute for International Studies and Diplomacy. All these honors I have cherished and been humbled by. You asked what I would like to be remembered of. I would like to be remembered as someone who believed and sought to demonstrate the importance of integrity, the importance of hard work, and the importance of caring for humanity. Human beings are, in my view, all equal. And whatever one can do to promote the equality of human beings, to help them and collaborate with them, I'd like to be remembered for that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. One last one, one final one, please. I'd like to know how do I become Chief Emeka Nyong'o? How can I be Emeka Nyong'o? Not a big Emeka Nyong'o.
Well, I wouldn't like you to cease to be salvation.
I mean, how do I become a man in your own mood?
But if you, as they say, that imitation is the highest form of flattery. If you accept the qualities that I have said I would like to be remembered for and pursue them, I think you will do well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been an amazing time of conversation with Chief Emeka Nyong'o. I've been so drawn to the stories, the fight for equity of humans, the fight for integrity at work, and hard work in the service of humanity. I believe that this conversation has taught you, what it takes to actually stand out as a servant of humanity. And if you want to be celebrated as someone who fought for equity of mankind, this Chief Emeka Nyong'o is one icon you can follow. Thank you for being with us on this show and this particular edition. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, and follow our subsequent editions. Thank you so much. And thank you, Chief Emeka Nyong'o. Thank you for
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. There was a nation living in peace and unity. Yeah. They are people with love and harmony. Oh, yeah. They saw greatness rise up to its purity. With another people of different culture, a different heritage, bias and oppressive. Oh, I see a nation from trigger of Africa, rising with strength and might and power. In due time, nobody gonna oppress us. Rather, you all gonna embrace her. With your flag, with your flag, with your flag, with your flag. Oh, yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home. Oh yeah, Biafra is our home. Oh, it's my home. Yeah, Biafra is our home.
I reminisce way back 1967. Death toll on the blood couldn't count them even. Mama screaming, child squealing, pops on the ground. 2.5 years, over 3 million's gone. Why? Cause we asked for our freedom, and we're going back to our sovereign kingdom. They shut us down when we cried, the world said nothing. Sitting back in the crib, watching our suffering. Should I talk about the planes dropping shells like rain? Suka had the first taste of our heroes' blood. Abaganazo Bunigwe was stronger than flood, but the juke is too strong and fought them off on the chart. Thought the bloodshed's gone, then it came again. 216 and the massacre, it started again. So bloody name, I couldn't cry tears. Blood dripping down my eyes, water in my veins. We died trying to fight the cause and we're trying to break him. It's our freedom, but the world was against us.
Wave your flag over Africa. Welcome people of Biafra. Wave your flag over all the world. See those people of Zion is here.
It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion. It is the nation that the Lord has chosen for the people of Zion.
We need peace, we choose freedom. We need peace, we choose freedom. Yeah. Let the tears of our mothers who lost their children be heard. Let the blood of our heroes speak from now till forever. Let the whole wide world know Biafra is our home.